Colonel Roy Campbell here. Do not turn the game console off. The mission has not failed, because you are listening to Raw Dogs. We are part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. You have a mission. Listen up. Enjoy. Roy Campbell, out.
Expect for an action RPG that is very, very grindy.
For sure.
Tony Hawk. Yeah, Tony Hawk RPG would be bad. It could be done.
It could be done.
There's not sports. Sports RPGs are something that doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
Welcome to Raw Dogs, everybody. We are your favorite podcast in the world about video games and beer. We are part of Hair of the Dogcast and part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. This is odd, because this is the very first Raw Dogs where Dylan isn't here.
Dylan, we miss you.
Dylan, we miss you. Dylan has, I don't know how much money he spent, but maybe like $200 on Mario Legos. And he is sitting right now, probably in his underwear, making little sound effects with his Mario Legos.
My hero.
That's the good life right there.
On the better news, we are joined again by...
I'm back. This is Nick. I have missed you all so much. I'm so happy to be back. Life got a little crazy there for a second for me, so I am so pleased to be back with my dogs.
Yes, breweries require a lot of love when they're busy and changing.
Yes. Absolutely.
And then we have another returning guest from the Mega Man episode.
Nate, I'm back again, Face for Radio, like always. Yeah, glad to be here. A little less busy than these two. I don't have enough reputation in the company yet. I'm getting there, though. Glad to be here.
You do more work than me, I know that much. And then a very special new guest. David, would you like to introduce yourself?
This is David Jones on the air for the first time. Not live, of course.
Voice for radio.
A voice for radio, for sure.
That was my line, Nate.
We're talking about Diablo today. Patreon supporter. Well, let's first just mention this show is possible because of our Patreon executive producers, Brian Ward, Tyler Keller, and of course the brand new Kip. Kip, I don't know your last name or a cool nickname, but Killer Kip, the Killmeister. We appreciate you. Thank you for your support. And it's also brought to us by Ryan Christianick, our dear friend who is freezing in Texas. He sent the podcast so much beer in the mail that we decided to let him choose a whole bunch of episodes.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
We love you, Ryan. And today's episode is about Diablo. Now, Diablo is a very prestigious series.
Oh, absolutely.
For only 3 games. But the other night, David was over here, and I'd just gotten my 2 new Diablo books in the mail. And I casually asked, what you've been playing, and you had mentioned.
No, I've been playing Diablo 3 over lockdown. The replayability in the end game is really high. You can push greater rift levels, collect more sets, legendaries. So they've really built on the initial release of Diablo 3.
And you're a big Diablo 2 guy as well, right?
I was growing up. It was a big game for my childhood.
That's me as well. The Diablo 2 is with Warcraft 3 probably the first real games where I got both competitive and obsessed. Blizzard has owned my entire multiplayer life because I was a World of Warcrafter as well. But yeah, no, that Blizzard knows how to make a multiplayer game, even to this day with Overwatch and all of that too. They know how to make a game that you can keep on coming back to.
That's the hook, There's more money in the hook.
Oh yeah. The PvP in the game was fantastically malicious. You could get real mean with it if you wanted, because it's one of those games that you drop all your loot when you die.
So you you two have both beaten 2. Did you beat 3 as well?
I did not beat 3 because I played it at release, and I'm not gonna lie. When it was at release, it was rough.
And we will talk about that rough release.
Yes.
And did either of you play 1?
I played 1. I didn't beat 1. I was too young. I kind of played it with my brother, and I didn't really get what was going on. The storytelling was totally lost on me. Yeah. I was pretty young when I played that one.
We'll talk about the lore. I don't know, lore in video games. For the Mega Man episode, it really pissed me off. I'm like, there's nothing interesting in the Mega Man lore. I was like doing everything I could.
Well, I will say this. To this day, the line fresh meat still sends shivers down my spine. The butcher was
Fresh meat.
Yeah, that cutscene, especially in that Play-Doh animation that it was way too realistic for my 6-year-old brain or whatever it was.
And it's straight up demonic shit. As a little kid, you're just being lit by the computer screen. You're probably sitting up there late at night.
Oh yeah, basement because my brother lived down in the basement, and it was dark and damp and cold, and it just
shit's scary.
Yeah.
And Nate, you have played these games as well.
Yeah, I played Diablo 1, and similar to Nick, I don't remember pretty much any of it. Also wasn't encouraged to play video games as a kid, so it's kind of a secret thing. Yeah. Sort of. Had to pitch off to a friend's house a lot of times, and then it's like, hey man, you want to hang out? And it's like, no, can I just play on your computer? Real cool, but I don't actually want to hang out with you. Played a lot of Diablo 2. Yeah, probably hundreds of hours. I don't actually know. I thought I was really cool because I was one of the first kids to get it. And it was one of the first games where my parents were okay kind of with me playing video games. And then Diablo 3, I did the wait. And then after it got bad reviews, I just didn't follow up. I did follow a little bit on the auction house because I thought it was real cool with the economy and stuff. The in-game economy. But other than that,
real cool, you agreed with the idea, or you're just fascinated that they went for it?
Nerdy in the idea of a small economic scale. I'll throw out Eve as well. It has its own realm and everything and its currency or whatever, where Eve, I think it's ISK or some stuff, can be translated directly into dollars now. And it's equivalent of Bitcoin, and it's kind of crazy. So nerdy in the business aspect of economy.
It edges on that line of a little dangerous because man, there are people that can take advantage of it. I mean, I know when I was in Warcraft, I took advantage of the economy in there ruthlessly. You have enough money, you can just buy everything out and put it back up at a higher price.
We'll get into the auction house. There's a lot of good things in there.
Of it.
I just wanted to establish the fact that you 3 have put fucking hours into this series, and I want everyone to know that I have put 4 hours into these games.
I saw you say level 20, and I was like, wait.
Oh yeah, because I'm
what?
Yeah, level 28 barbarian is what I am right now.
Yes, yeah.
But I have read 2 whole books. I have watched probably 10 hours of YouTube.
Honestly, you probably have a deeper understanding of the lore than I do because
I guarantee it.
You need to seek it. You do with these games.
Yeah, I was explaining to Nate on the car ride home the other night, Anu and the dragon Tathamet, and he's like, "What? Are you talking about Diablo?"
No idea.
Yeah, well, that's all pre-Diablo.
Yep.
But before we go any further, we're going to drink one of these delicious beers that Ryan sent to us. This is from Spindle Tap Brewery. It's called Frostbite, and it is a cryo-hopped IPA. Cheers. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Aptly named for the cold snap in Texas, by the way.
Hey.
We hope you are somehow staying warm.
I wish Josh was here to describe what a cryo-hopped is. Do you know what cryo-hopped means?
I wish that I knew more.
I'm guessing it has something to do with cold, but it is delicious.
It is quite nice.
And before we go further, Ryan wrote down his thoughts on Diablo. Growing up, my brother and I never had the current generation of consoles. We were always 1 or 2 generations behind. I played the hell out of my Atari when everybody else had a Super Nintendo, but it changed when my dad got us a new computer with an optical disc drive. He gave us some money to go buy a few games, and we bought Diablo. Somehow, we convinced my mom to get the box with the devil on it. That's a tough sell. That's a tough sell.
I love that.
It's hard to describe the sheer terror and amazement I experienced as an 8-year-old playing through the first game, but ever since I got that taste, I kept coming back to the franchise. So, this story, like some video game stories, more than you'd think, actually takes place partially in Madison, Wisconsin, which I was surprised to learn.
Wait, what? Are you serious?
The creator of Diablo is from Madison.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
From the burning hells of Madison, Wisconsin.
Burning or freezing?
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Yeah, depends on the season.
Depends on the political climate. Yikers.
Whoa. Hot take.
Hot take. Gonna go quick through just kind of where this all started. David Brevik was formerly a lead technical director for Iguana Entertainment. He met up with Eric and Max Schaefer, who were a couple of D&D kids. They worked together on Gordo 106 for the Atari Lynx, which is about a monkey platformer breaking out of a science lab, which by all accounts looked fine.
Super Monkey Ball?
I wish. we need more Monkey Ball.
More. Yes.
David Brevik, Eric, and Max Schaefer, they formed Condor Games, and they were tasked with making Justice League Task Force for the Sega Genesis. At a Consumer Electronics show, it was discovered that the Justice League Task Force version of the Super Nintendo was being created by the company that would be Blizzard. So the original Blizzard and the original creators of Diablo were both working on ports of Justice League as a fighting game at the same time, which is kind of fun.
That's wild.
They both it's like that Spider-Man meme, like, you! Yeah. Because they didn't know that they didn't even know someone else was working on another port, which is kind of cool.
I wonder. Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder if they're both hired, commissioned, or how it worked. Or yeah, that's interesting.
It was just always destined to be.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, and that's kind of where their initial bonding came from. At this Consumer Electronics show, that's where Brevik was pitching his idea for Diablo, which was originally going to be a traditional RPG, if you guys didn't know that, turn-based. And
So early Fallout.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if it was like a CRPG?
Yep.
Ooh. I almost am sad not to have played that game.
I'm so not a computer gamer, so you guys will have to keep me up to date on this stuff.
Well, so like it would have been a lot more early Dungeons and Dragons games esque of like Neverwinter Nights and stuff like that. If that's the case, I'm a little sad I didn't get to see that game.
Well, they were going around pitching Diablo at this Consumer Electronics show, and everybody they went up to said RPGs are dead. Like this was this was the time when Doom was out there fucking dooming it up.
Yeah.
They're like, we got devils too, man. Our devils are twice as big, but
the BFG.
And we got guns.
yeah. Now, once we get to the lore, there's a character named Odyssean, which I've never had a bigger like boner for. This guy sounds amazing. But they wind up making a deal with this other company. They were purchased by, I think it was like Syzygistic Solutions or something was the original Blizzard. They changed their name to Blizzard, and then they purchased Condor Games, which became Blizzard North. And yes, Diablo was created with about 15 people on a budget of $1.2 million. Was going to initially be a single-player DOS game, traditional turn-based RPG. They even dabbled with claymation. There's a lot of what ifs that could have been differently, and they were fully making this game as traditional turn-based RPG for a good chunk of the development cycle.
So you can almost kind of read that in the animation style, honestly. Now that you've mentioned that, and I've been thinking about it, just like even into Diablo 2 and stuff like that, I can actually really see that like shadow kind of fall over it, and not I say shadow not in a bad way, just the silhouette of the game that would have been. But yeah, that's so interesting to me actually. Like,
yeah, and it's not like they scrapped the game and had to like start from the ground up. It looks like it looked before they made the changes. God bless Brevik and the Schaefers, because Blizzard comes in and says, we really think this needs to not be an RPG. Like, and like, what do they call them? Like action RPGs,
Action RPGs,
point and click RPGs. Those weren't really a big deal at the time. There was a few of like the forerunners, but
no, Diablo wrote the script for what ARPGs would become as far as top-down isometric style.
it's one of the most influential games of all time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is fun for me because I honestly didn't know shit about this 2 weeks ago.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You're in it now, Brad.
Yeah.
And with BlizzCon's announcements, if I wanted to get into it, now is the time.
I was gonna say I wouldn't recommend going back to Diablo 2 right now, but very very shortly when what are they calling it? It's not Diablo 2 Reloaded. It's
Diablo
reincarnated or something like that.
Re-erection.
I've had one of those before.
Once in a
Round 2.
once in a blue moon.
So, commenting before, like on the turn-based strategy thing, I was thinking about it. It almost, even with the art style and everything, reminds me of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, a lot.
Which almost would have
Yeah.
been a Diablo universe Baldur's Gate. And I looked it up real quick here, and Baldur's Gate came out in 1998. So I'd be in Diablo 1997.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see if the competitiveness of those two products had any influence on the other.
Yeah, I mean Baldur's Gate was insanely influential. So having its sales cut into it could have changed the landscape. Like, and also the tabletop rule set of Dungeons and Dragons does not translate super well to games. That's why the new development of the newest Baldur's Gate, it's taking some liberties. It's a very good 1-to-1, but it definitely does not work exactly the same way as the tabletop game does. So it would have been interesting to see a ground up for computer only, same style, same spirit almost, honestly. Those games could have been very interesting. They would have hit the same exact market, so I don't think that it would have elevated either of the games. I think it would have cut into those sales, but it would have been interesting to see that competition.
I think Diablo probably still would have been very successful if it was a traditional RPG, but it wouldn't have been
Groundbreaking.
the juggernaut
way
that it
was.
became.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah. So they were told, like, we really, well, and a lot of their staff, too, they were saying, we think it should be an action RPG. So Brevik and the Schaefers straight up, like, let's just vote. We're not going to be those dickhead bosses who say, like, it's our way. Whatever the group thinks we should do. And it was voted. And so it was a Friday. Brevik says, okay, shit. Sends everyone home. And he stays there for, like, an extra 5 hours that night and turned it in by himself, converted the entire game to be a point-and-click action RPG. When they came back in on Monday, there was a working build for it just because Brevik had done it. And he talks about in a lot of interviews about that, the first time he had a character, he clicked on a skeleton, the guy walked over and hit the skeleton. He's like, that felt really good.
I mean, if you haven't played the game, that feeling is incredible. Like it really is, and especially back when games didn't really function like that, it was like, oh, I got this now.
Yeah, part of what makes the game, I think, great is that it's pretty accessible. You're able to start the game up pretty quick. There's not too intense of a character creation before you're able to jump into New Tristram, which Brevik said he wanted it to pass the mom test. Where, like, could a mom play it if she wanted to?
It's that easy to play, hard to master.
Yep.
Yeah. And like I said, I haven't played the original Diablo. By all accounts, the original game, people love it. Like, it's still worth playing to people that played it back then. I don't know if that's just nostalgia glasses. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think that's why the remaster is going to be so good for Diablo 2. They're going to fix graphics. They're going to fix
Polish it up,
animation.
smooth it up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Everything's just going to be high polished like you had those rose-colored glasses on.
like I mentioned about the Butcher, you know, I'm waiting to see some of these formerly Play-Doh PlayStation 2 era graphic cutscenes turned into high-res HD.
4K. Yeah. I was impressed today playing Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls on I have the PS4 version. I was playing on the 5, and I'm like, it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a sucker for like heavy metal imagery. And
Hell yeah.
just like an angel with like a sword saying, I fuck you, I'm going to be immortal, going to be amortal. And having a fight with like the Archangel of Justice, Imperius, and just that heavy metal shit's great.
Yeah.
Furious is a little bitch.
Tyrael is one of my favorite characters, like
Yeah.
in any of gaming, just because he accepts flaws to become more badass.
Well, and it's after he meets Odyssean, the character I was talking about, and he's like, I don't know, dude.
Yep.
Humans are pretty cool,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
Odyssean's so cool. But then there's this guy, Jerry. It's probably pronounced like Jer Harash, but I pronounce it Jerry. There's like a great movie to be written about Jerry. They did have a crunch period. It began August 1996, and it went on for a little while. Battle.net, Blizzard's online service, was added about 6 months before release because they didn't have any multiplayer plans, and they're like, we want it. You got to put it in.
It was so worth it.
That's the first one that used Battle.net, which they still use today for everything. Because I'm, like I said, I'm not a PC gamer. What does it all got? Warcraft, Overwatch,
StarCraft, World of Warcraft,
Big time.
I mean, Blizzard is a juggernaut as far as multiplayer games go. It's definitely one of those companies that just knocks it out of the park every time. Once you hit that rhythm with their games, you're in it. You're in it for years.
The game went gold 5 days before its release, which is pretty cool.
You know,
It's credited with creating the subgenre of point-and-click action RPGs, and that's like the making of. But let's talk about how the game plays. Now, who's got the most experience with D1?
D1. I mean, I can't claim any like true. Like I said, I was playing it with my brother. I was probably 6 at the time, and it was one of those things that I'd sneak down to his room and hang out with him and watch him play, or either and like get in on it a little bit. But also, my brother's a little overprotective, so there were definitely moments where it was like, all right, you got to go away.
Yeah.
You can go and fight skeletons, but when we get to the blood room, no, you got to go.
I think one of the biggest aspects of Diablo, it's like, what is it? Not procedurally generated, but like the levels are different every time, randomly generated.
So the dungeons are, for the most part, procedurally generated. But they always have an aesthetic, a feel to them. There's
like a art design and a layout.
There's the same graphics and music, tiles
and bad guys.
Yes. Yeah. Especially in the original one, I mean, it was very almost roguelike, where you get like a chunk that is put in, and it's like, oh, I recognize this chunk, but then it connects to like 2 things, and you go into the next chunks.
And I believe with Diablo 1, I mean, at least Diablo 1, it locks the level. Like, after you play like level 1, level 2, the layout remains the same for that playthrough.
Oh, did it?
I believe for Diablo 1 it does, but either way, what's really great is that, I don't know, every time someone is playing this game, it's their own experience. It's not the same map, which really lets it be more of your own thing, which is fun. I was on a message board because I wanted to make sure I was saving right when I was playing Diablo 3, because I wasn't sure if it was an autosave. I didn't want to lose progress. And one of the first things that came up was like, this game's so stupid. I beat so much of it, and I come back and all the guys have respawned. The maps look different. I was like, oh, dude, you don't get it.
Yeah.
A little off on the concept.
Kind of missed the point.
And then there's, of course, character classes, which I think is the biggest aspect of the gameplay.
I don't remember. Was that a wizard?
rogue, sorcerer, and
Barbarian was always a
yeah.
very.
They called him a
D&D.
warrior.
It was like warrior in the beginning or fighter or something. It was very, very cardinal D&D classes.
And so I don't even remember how your characters advance. Now, in Diablo 1, I think you were actually like doing attributes and you were able to choose certain skills because you weren't locked into, if you're a warrior, you can't use sorcerer moves in the first game. Anyone could use any moves. Certain classes would be better at them, or they would actually be able to have use them efficiently. But you were very much able to, if you wanted to play the game differently, you weren't really locked in, which I think they kind of backed away from pretty hard.
Yes,
That's
very much so.
the highlight of D1 and D2 over D3 is you could take different classes, use another class's skills with rune words. With any number of things. You could have a necromancer. You could make them use a bow in D2. You could use a sorcerer and make them a melee character. D3, you are more constrained by your class. You're a sorcerer, you use intelligence and use spells. Barbarian, you use the dexterity or strength, and you just use, two-handed weapons, shield, sword and board, stuff like that.
Yeah. Character classes sometimes are support-based, sometimes magic-based. Diablo 3 pretty much just does everything for you. You don't have to do much work, but I'm playing it on a console, and I know at least with PC, you can hotkey the shit out of every spell you want to use, which would be very different from the experience I've had.
The PC is just the superior gaming instrument.
It really is. A lot easier to aim, point and click.
Yep, point and click.
3 PC master race people here.
Yeah. And I played Age of Empires 2 once.
Hey,
Oh.
great game.
Wow.
Great game. Fantastic game.
Chips challenge, 100%.
Golfers Club.
What else we got about this game? So it's based around one city, New Tristram. You go into the cathedral, and there's 16 levels down from the cathedral, the catacombs, the caves, all the way to hell. And the point of the game is to get to the end of level 16
and kill the devil.
and kill the devil himself.
But realistically, it's not actually
Yeah.
the devil.
No,
It's Diablo.
The
It's
devil.
I just use the Spanish name,
All Diablos.
Yeah, isn't it A apostrophe L Diablos or something?
Yeah, there's a little bit more of a nuanced name that they give him. If you want to be technical, he's one of the 7 evils that came off of Tathamet after his battle with Anu.
Yes.
And he's the Lord of Terror, one of the prime evils. I was very surprised to learn in the lore that the prime evils were bitched out by the little evils, and they were kicked out of hell.
I mean, they were all heads at one point. So the difference in power.
It's just the 3 oldest brothers. You're like, you guys are the little brothers.
You guys are lesser sin.
And can you how does that work with a 7-headed demon? There's just another head pops out. Fuck you, Belial.
Come on, you know that with a Hydra, the middle head is obviously going to be the dominant one.
Oh, I love it. In Disney movies or animated things, there's always just the one super dumb head.
Yeah. So that's Belial.
That's Belial. Gosh, it's if you really want to try and get the personality differences of them, they do have some really deep concepts behind them, but a lot of it kind of just blends together in my head.
It's weird how they
Essentially they have different fetishes.
Truth.
That's really what it is.
It really is.
Diablo doesn't like conquering. He just likes people being afraid. He's oh, you're so afraid.
You can do
He is the Lord of Terror.
Yeah.
So he's be afraid of me.
Ball wakes up. All he does is start breaking shit. That's
Love it. You're gonna break shit.
Kind of with Bell on that one. You ever see those they're not escape rooms, but they're break shit rooms?
Trash rooms.
Yes.
They give you a hammer and a baseball bat and an
I
axe.
have
and
never
they're
done one, but I need to.
That's a real thing.
Yes.
Do you want to go and do one?
Yeah.
It would be so cathartic.
There's one right around here.
There's a trash room?
Yeah, I feel you pay $100. They give you a bat and a bunch of glassware.
Imagine
and
the
stuff.
scene from Zombieland.
This sounds
Yeah.
like a major liability.
It's not that bad. So you put on a painter's suit?
Yeah.
And they give you a bat, essentially. I designed a bottle launcher for one of them once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like it would just launch a beer bottle in the air, and you'd have a bat, and you just clack, home run.
That's right. Did you just make like a potato gun, but for bottles, or?
So it was more. It had to be like self-powered. It couldn't be gas or anything because it was
Sure.
gas too powerful. A bottle would shatter before it flies in the air or whatever. Blah blah blah. This and this. And I was like, well, why don't you do this? And he's like, that's a good idea. And then it was actually at a bar. I drew it in a napkin for him. So
Nice.
it's great. I didn't actually get paid. I don't
So you're like you're the podcaster of destruction.
Yeah, I'll take it. Great nickname. Yeah, patented.
Boom. We would be the lesser evils, I think.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely. I'm gonna
Tom and
go
Josh
with,
are the prime evils.
I'm going with sin.
I'm going with the sin of console gaming.
Yeah, rough.
I mean, you are
that is a
definitely
sin.
you are definitely the lessest.
The podcaster of console games. That's me.
Poor guy.
Yeah, this game was hugely successful. Some memories from Ryan of Diablo 1. He almost peed himself the first time he met the butcher.
Yep.
Which, and that was one of those things too, because it's so random. Not everyone sees the butcher. Like, he might not even show up in your entire game, and then you come back, play it twice, like, who the fuck's this guy?
Just oh god,
Fresh
oh
meat.
god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Ryan, I get you. I understand.
Chris from Telesplash Gaming says, I had Diablo 1 when it came out. I used to call my neighbor's house so we could play co-op. That was his first online experience with gaming ever. I think it's interesting that the creator, Brevik, he had the people working on this game, and he didn't know what they were doing for the ending. So he actually saw the cutscene not knowing what the end was going to be. Spoiler, my understanding is that if you're playing the game, it looks like your character killed killed Diablo and took a stone from Diablo and put it in his own head.
Well, that stone is his soul stone.
The soul stone, yes. But once you get to the lore, they actually write it to be Prince Aiden, and your character was down there, but wasn't the one who ultimately did the thing.
So the way that I've always read it, because I have gone back since to just kind of try and figure it out, because I was very confused about who the Dark Wanderer was when I was playing through Diablo 2. So I tried to at least get the basis of that. I went back and read up on it, and basically, about what happens to the rogue and the sorcerer in Diablo 1.
Because the different character classes have their own endings too. Yeah.
We'll get into that. The fighter is that person, and this prince got sent away to fight in a war and then returned home. And I think that's kind of his D&D backstory, if you will.
And we'll talk about Leoric and Aiden and
I figured
everyone's favorite homie, Deckard Cain. People,
Deckard Bane.
I'm Deckard Cain.
I was born in the darkness. Tyrael. So we're going to open another beer from Ryan. We have from Six Wards Brewing Company. This is their 6 Feet Away IPA. And I'm guessing they might be smaller. It's from Dickinson, Texas. But there is a special sticker on the can. So they don't have a specific label printed. So that
Love it. One off.
I do love smaller breweries.
I'm into it.
And I am one of the 6 wards of my family.
Cheers.
So I had to save this one for Raw Dog. So cheers.
Cheers to the 6.
Pretty straightforward IPA. Pretty classic.
Hey, I dig it.
Nice and drinkable.
I'm okay getting back to some classic IPAs,
Yeah, we get a little wild at times. Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Give me a triple dry hopped milkshake.
Double vanilla.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I just want a beer.
Which we make as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Vivo Pills, one of my favorites.
Eagle Park Brewing represent just so everyone knows.
Shameless self-promotion.
So this game was massively successful when it comes out. And Sierra Games, is that who? Despite objections of Blizzard, Sierra produced Diablo Hellfire. They were told, we're making an expansion. We don't care. You don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
you love that they made Hellfire.
No, I love that they just went in the direction they thought was right for their game, because a lot of producers don't do that anymore.
Well, no, but Blizzard didn't want the expansion to happen. They were like, we're taking your baby. Someone else is going to play with it for a while.
Oh my God. Sorry, I didn't know that.
No, they were pretty upset about it. And I don't know, it's kind of like BioShock 2. Now, everyone has, by all accounts, I think everyone is so sour that it wasn't made by Ken Levine. And then people that played BioShock 2 is like, it's kind of better.
I mean, objectively, like the mechanics are better. Obviously, the storytelling was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of a similar scenario or you could do the Batman Arkham prequel game too, where it's someone else is playing with someone's toys and it feels a little weird. Diablo Hellfire it added 2 additional dungeon segments and a new side storyline. It added jogging, and a 4th class was the monk. And by all accounts, it was fine. And
It was fine.
it didn't change much. Yeah, it was fine.
It was an early expansion when expansions or DLC. Well, DLC didn't exist, but like expansions were like the thing.
And originally, Brevik had pitched for the original Diablo that you'd be able to go to like game stores, computer stores, and buy like little $5 expansions for the original Diablo, kind of like you'd get like a magic booster like pack.
Sure.
And that's how he was originally like, that's how you get some more things for your game. That's like kind of an early concept of how DLC would work.
Yeah.
Which was kind of ahead of its time because now you can buy 10 different new outfits for the special anniversary celebration.
Well, you
I'm like,
can
this is
buy
not a-
DLC with the game that you're buying too.
Their way of this is the Diablo celebration. They patched in today. I looked at it, Diablo 3. You can now buy new like armor and pets. And I'm like, give us a special armor set to celebrate or something.
Right?
Yeah.
So, on the marketing strategy of that, it's a little iffy because if a game is already being released at the price point that the company wants, and then they still offer like cosmetics and stuff at an additional price, it's like, I've supported you enough and you made your profit. Do I really want to pay you more?
I will say
It's
this.
hard.
I would much prefer that they do cosmetics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you're locking a part of the game that you've designed behind a paywall, it leaves me with some salt in the wound and I'm gritting my teeth.
For sure.
Pay to win is very messy.
Pay to win is
So cosmetics is fine.
yeah.
Yeah. And
It's the Fortnite model, if you will, honestly.
that's what a lot of games have ultimately wound up going with because they don't want to piss off their core, which
I mean,
gamers are sensitive.
Gamers are on the edge of a revolt right now. So
Yeah. I think, again, and I'll mention this later as well, I don't want to get off topic, but Path of Exile is like a Diablo 2 spinoff that's free. That is great.
yeah,
But also has its critical flaws that we'll focus on Diablo 2. But again, it's free and only offers cost in cosmetic or like stash upgrades and stuff like that, in which I've supported the game just because I was like, well, I've put a good amount of hours into this. I might as well give the developers some money.
absolutely.
And I think that's a great pay model. And I have also a large amount of friends who do the same thing.
Yeah.
I got Bloodborne for free on the PS Plus. I have put 60 hours in that game. So when I bought the expansion for $20, I'm like, I feel okay about this.
Yeah.
I almost want to apologize. Like, just so you guys know, you did a really good job.
Yeah, like I really like this game. By
listen
the way,
to our podcast. I'm getting a full Bloodborne tattoo later this year.
hell yeah, a little bit of Eldritch horror going on.
I got some cool designs.
Stay a while and listen.
I'm Deckard Cain. I was born in the darkness, Batman. Announced by Blizzard in 97 with a planned launch for the first quarter of 1998, which they missed. Released June 29th, 2000. Sold 184,000 copies initially. 1 million copies in the first 2 weeks. 2 million in the first month and a half. Fastest selling PC game of all time at the time. One of the main priorities was to stop cheating and to implement. Just a second, I lost it here. Stop cheating and to balance the new classes. Dev team consisted of 45 to 60 people with a shitload of crunch time.
Yeah.
And they almost lost the source code completely at the end, which seems like a fuck up. But luckily, they had some models some of the developers had taken home to play, and they were able to just take it from that.
That's insane to me.
Mistakes
I will-
happen, and they're lucky that they had a backup somehow.
I will say, Blizzard is like a little bit notorious for this nonsense. This happens with them a handful of times. I don't know if you guys have done a Blizzard episode. We should totally do a Blizzard episode eventually. You can cut this out
We
later.
will have to. No, that's
like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Blizzard
yes.
has a wavy past.
It's definitely got its peaks and valleys, but yeah, that they're known for the crunch. They're known for running things a little bit fast and loose.
Blizzard's fondness for Easter eggs. Some people became obsessed about a cow level in Diablo 1.
There is no cow level.
There is no cow level.
Cow level.
They even put it into StarCraft.
The fucking cow level is just about as much. Like, what is that? We're in Wisconsin, all right? That's not how a cow sounds. All right, get out of here.
They programmed in like the most monotone moo, moo.
I pulled a few tits in my day. That's not what a cow sounds like.
People became obsessed with the concept that there was a cow level hidden in the original Diablo, that you'd click a certain cow a certain number of times, and then a portal would open up, and they were inundated with emails and people asking nonstop questions about it. They even put into I think StarCraft, one of those games, a cheat code for instant victory, which is you enter there is no cow level.
That was StarCraft 2, I believe. That was original StarCraft. I forgot. There's only 2 StarCrafts. That's bonkers.
I mean, yeah, this is
How long did StarCraft 2 take?
Original one came out in '97, like the age of Cloud Strife.
Yeah,
like if you want to go way back then, but
oh, my good old Zerg rushes and my Protoss cannons.
I know some of those words. Yeah, but then they actually put a cow level into Diablo 2. And so what do you have to do? You had to beat the game to get a certain item. You had to go like a rogue encampment.
So you needed 3 items. You needed a magical box that was used to combine things.
The Heredric box?
You got it.
Yeah.
You needed the leg from the child, the peg leg child in the first game, who you could find in
Tiny
the second
Tim.
game. I can't remember what
both
his
his
name
legs.
is.
Rosewort's leg.
Yep.
Yep.
And then you needed a tome of portals or a tome of return. That's what it was. Tome of return. You combined Wirt's leg with a tome of return and opened up your red portal to the secret cow level, where you were ganked ferociously by murderous cows with halberds.
Cows standing up on their 2 hind legs.
Yep.
Again, it doesn't happen.
We're from Wisconsin. We've never seen that.
This is a fever dream.
And I've taken a lot of legs from a lot of little kids, and
Every time I see one.
this shit does not work.
Rocket Raccoon?
I remember seeing this though at a friend's house to like check this shit out, and I was like, "That's a lot of cows." Like, I guess this is cool, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't know what Diablo was, but he was showing me like the coolest thing he's ever seen, and to me, I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah. It's like if some kid found out that there was a way to resurrect Aerith, and they were like, "Dude, you just got to get this and this and this done." Like,
It's called a Game Shark."
It's definitely one of those like schoolyard, cheats and
Yep.
stories that you heard about before the internet and, before cell phones. You were like, yo, dude, if you get these 3 things, put them in the cube, you go to the cow level, and they're like, no way.
some good drops there too, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good farming, good leveling place. You go in Torment.
Yeah.
You can only do it once. So
You don't kill the Cow King and you can go back.
Yep.
Oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, it was bad.
Yep.
It was bad.
I remember my sorceress was my item farming character, and it was just because she had teleport. So you would just teleport, and you would chain them all around in a circle until the Cow King was in the back, and then you just Blizzard stormed them, and you would get so many items.
Another April Fool's Day joke they did was they were saying that there was going to be an archivist class, which would have been someone that uses books and tomes. And I'm like, that sounds cool as shit.
That's wizards. So
yeah.
give me wizard.
That was an April Fool's Day joke they did. We're going to take a quick break here from some of the other amazing shows in the Greenlit Podcast Network. On the way out, though, probably my favorite April Fool's Day joke they did. This is the Deckard Cain rap, which, if you guys haven't heard it, here's your chance. We'll be right back.
My name's Deckard Cain, and I come from Tristram. If you're looking for Diablo, then you just missed him. If you find old Griswold, then you can take him down, but you'll get no reward till you come back to town. Thanks for my life. I'll identify your stuff, but if you choose to journey on, then it's gonna get tough.
Hi, Stu.
Hi, Luke.
Do you fancy doing a podcast covering every segment of every episode of the beloved 90s cartoon Animaniacs?
No, I hate Animaniacs.
Join me, Luke, the Warner lover, and him, Stu, the Warner resistor, for Animani Chat, covering every segment of every episode of the hit 90s cartoon Animaniacs, as well as its many spin-offs, including comics, video games, and the movie, not to mention the recent reboot. It's gonna be explainy to the max.
Oh.
Ellen, in 15 seconds, what is Nice Games Club?
It's our game dev podcast. Steven, help!
Game mechanics, accessibility, art and animation, level design, prototyping.
Everything that goes into making video games. How's that, Mark?
Nice. Listen to Nice Games Club wherever you get your podcasts, or at nicegames.club.
I'm nasty, I'm old, and a little bit ornery. I look like Patrick Stewart and sound like Sean Connery. Greetings, greetings, throw your hands in the air, wave them like you just don't care. Greetings, stay a while and listen. Kick it.
That was a 3.5-minute song with Deckard Cain doing some dope rapping.
It was impressive.
Greetings.
Is that
Stay a while and listen.
that is something that we're allowed to put on the podcast, right? Like they were just listening to that. Yes?
They just heard all of it as well.
I am so happy you guys came along with me on that journey, because that's the first time I heard that, and it literally made my week better.
You can stick it in your stash. Batman.
I'm gonna listen to that while I'm working.
Stay a while. Greetings.
Yeah.
Greetings.
All the token sayings of Deckard Cain.
The Tom Selleck line is pure gold, though.
I look like Patrick Stewart. Oh, no, I sound like Patrick Stewart, but I look like Tom Selleck. Oh, it's great. And we're back, everybody. Deckard Cain has guided us in, and so we know a little bit about the development of Diablo 2. Now let's talk about the game that is beloved. It is the most beloved of the Diablo franchise.
Definitely.
That is, from my understanding, it kind of took a lot of the concepts of Diablo 1, cranked it up to 11, and just refined the shit out of it and made it so much bigger.
The class system got more interesting. You got more options to choose from. You were able to spec out your character a little bit more specifically. The rune system in the game was super interesting. Yep. There were just so many little things that they did, and massive overhauls as well, that really changed the game from being the first action RPG to the best action RPG.
David, can you explain this rune system? So that's a kind of way to further develop your character?
Yes, so runes are similar to, I guess, now's
Paragon in Diablo 3?
No, not Paragon, but in Diablo 3, you can have a specific rune on a skill. So every skill will have, I think it's 5 runes, but they're kind of set in that skill. Versus Diablo 2, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like you could just rune whatever, and that would add, say you like runed a bow.
Yes, it was your equipment that had slots that you would put these runes into.
And there felt like a billion different runes that you could choose from. You could combine them to get, different skills added. And it was just a really great way to make the game play unique, make the class system not feel so strict. Like I said, you could be a necromancer using, Amazon skills or whatnot. What really got me about Diablo 2 was the world building and the atmosphere. We always come back to the Butcher because that's like the
iconic,
the best scene, the blood, the dungeon, the music, and then it's the Butcher.
So the Butcher's in 1 and 2. I know he's in 3 as well.
The Butcher is in 1 and 3, actually.
He's not?
The Butcher is not in 2, from what I can remember.
Maybe he is in an expansion or something. I don't know, because, they're still patching that game.
I would go back to play it. I will go back to play it with this remaster.
But getting back to the job system, the class system, what you're choosing for your character class, there's 5 core character classes, and they each have their own skill trees inside of them. So
yes, each one has 3 in Diablo 2 that you can kind of go to.
So a sorceress can have different specialties based on
ice, fire, and lightning.
And then on top of that, you have this rune system where you're able to not only take that character class and take it down a skill tree, which I know skill trees became popularized in a big way. Maybe this wasn't the first, but it was one of the best. And then you have the rune system on top of that to further take your character into the build you so desire.
Yes. Yeah. It was fun being able to. So, like, my character, I played what I affectionately still refer to as a trapazon. It was an Amazon that specialized in traps. So I would lay down these things. I would run in towards a mob until they started chasing me, and then I would run backwards, and then I would cackle maliciously as they ran into
your
massive lightning spears.
You were farting as you ran away, and they
exactly
were poisoned.
Yes. Just
you fell for the classic trap.
It's interesting though, because women don't fart,
and when they do, it smells like roses.
Major plot hole there.
Plot hole, yeah, big plot hole.
The trap is on though.
It was so much fun to be able to spec that in such a way where I elevated one skill to the point where I could have, I want to say 30 of these traps down at one time, and then I would PvP with people. And what I would do is I would run out into it, I would drop a bunch of traps, I would run into the safe area, we would agree on a duel, we would challenge each other to a duel, and then when we exited the safe zone, our duel would begin, and all of my traps would go off at once.
That's dirty.
I was not a nice child. I learned kindness.
As long as you win, it doesn't matter.
I mean, that's what online gaming and PvP is, right? Like, I'm not going to play by the rules. I'm going to do what I can to win. And
Well, and one of the biggest issues with Diablo 1 was the multiplayer infrastructure was very poor.
Oh, wow.
And it was extremely easy to cheat, so it was almost impossible to have a game where someone wasn't fucking you over.
Yep.
And Diablo 2, they tried to strive as much as they could. I think is Diablo 2 where they had like an online.
They implemented 2 ways to play. There was BattleNet and there was Open.
Yes.
And Open, you got away with using things like trainers on your game and you know, mods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the BattleNet server actually tracked your character. So if you went from level 1 to level 99, your account got kiboshed.
And your closed, it was a closed realm, and those characters were stored on Blizzard servers, and you had to play once every 90 days or they would delete you.
Yes. Wow. And with Open, it was saved on your computer instead.
That was upsetting.
That was upsetting to you?
The 90-day thing was a big problem.
Oh, because it's like, has it been 80 days already? I don't know. I better go check my guide.
I didn't track it, and being, I don't know, a child. You have no, like, you know, nobody reads anything. Like,
you have responsibilities, Nate.
Yeah, right? Like, I gotta keep my characters active, and then you come back and you're like, what? No. Why is it not here? And then you're like, who do I call? What is wrong?
That 90-day thing is pretty rough.
Yeah, it's like, especially, like, it's not as big as of a deal nowadays where generally, like, things can be stored almost indefinitely. But back then, it was like,
you were taking up server space.
Yeah, it's gone. Like, all that, like, that's part of my life you just took from me.
Hours.
Yeah. I want that shit.
Hundreds
Days.
of hours.
I was gonna say the amount of time that I logged in that
Years.
game, months at the very least, probably a year. Probably
There's
a year.
probably. I don't. Never
To all of my World of Warcraft gamers who have taken any type of hiatus, imagine that.
Yeah.
Just all of it's just gone.
After 90 days.
You could have sold that character for $10,000.
Back in vanilla, not anymore. Now you can just boost it for $30.
I don't know enough about that.
Sorry, that's different tangent.
World of Warcraft.
Blizzard, it's too close.
And money becomes a bigger thing with Diablo for the
Monetization.
next game.
Yes,
There's 5 character classes in vanilla D2. The Barbarian is going to be straightforward. That dude hits shit, and he can shout and do a few little support moves, but mostly he hits shit.
Double-handed, two-handed weapons.
Yeah,
Rides a Barbarian.
Double swing? Is it double swing?
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, that's going to be my first playthrough of games. I usually go straight forward
Smash and
single
crash.
guy. Sorceress, if you want to be the more ranged magic user. The Amazon is kind of related to the rogue a little bit more. It's more of a skilled, ranged fighter.
Oh, she was the best.
And probably the
she had a lot of
hottest
variety.
fighter.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Actually, honestly, the Amazon really was one of the most separated of those classes because a javelin Amazon would play completely different to my Trapezon.
Yeah, and each one of these classes have endless
Yes.
customizable options.
Javelin, like Jabazon,
Yeah.
I think was another one.
Yep.
Jab was like her move, and
Yep.
there's always it was always named after whatever move you may use, right? Like it's Jabazon, it's a Trapezon, it's blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. Valkyrie. I think that was the summon.
Was that for Amazon?
Well, then there was the Paladin, who was kind of a religious fighter who was more defensive, but also had some more religious-based magic fanatical attacks.
Auras, holy attacks, a little bit of sword and board.
Probably not someone that'd be fun to have at a
fucking-
party.
No.
The fucking fist pump.
Love.
What's the Paladin fist pump? I can't remember.
I can't remember what it is either.
Hammer,
Yeah.
whatever. It's the Paladin fist pump.
It comes-
You just run
the-
in and you pump your fist and fucking shit starts spinning around you.
Three.
I love God.
I love God. I love God. I love God.
It's 100% the strategy.
3 hammers swirl
Yeah.
around you like Thor threw Mjolnir around you.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name of. Yeah, but that's all I remember is and then what Zeal? I think it was
Yep.
Zeal. Like
Zeal.
you rush and you just
Yeah,
Hammer
it
shit as
increases
fast as you
attack
can.
speed.
I love God so much.
yeah, right. Like I love God.
Oh God, I love God. And then on the other side of the spectrum, probably I would imagine one of the more nuanced characters, the Necromancer.
Summoner.
You're summoning the dead, you are poisoning, you're doing different spells. You can even resurrect Diablo, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I read. After you beat Diablo, you can resurrect Diablo.
I mean, you can resurrect like a flesh golem out of Diablo's body.
Or something. You could do some sort of resurrection
I'm pretty
spell.
sure that was an early thing where they got rid of that super fast.
That seems
Understandable.
broken.
I was gonna say because my Mephi runs would have been a lot easier with that.
I would have tried that shit for sure. I remember the Necromancer being super strong. What was it? There's multiple bone moves.
Yeah,
It's like
bone armor, bone storm,
Bone
yeah.
Bone Spear.
Bone Spear
was the
is
one
so
'cause
broken.
Yeah, because
It's so good.
It pierces, and you're just like, well, I'm just gonna stand here and launch shit in
Yep.
every direction until everything's
Yep.
dead, and then I'm done.
And let's talk about Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction.
One of the best expansion packs that has ever existed.
Now, why is it one of the best expansion packs?
Because it is exactly as an expansion pack is advertised to be. It actually added on probably, as far as the story goes, probably another 10 hours. I might be being a little generous.
it added a 5th act.
Yes. It added extra content. It added 2 new classes to play as that you got to, that if you wanted to, you could go right back to the start and play through the game and level up these characters, which I was obsessed with doing at the time. It added more runes. It added more ways to customize your character. It really just elevated the game the correct way. I don't ever see any DLC do stuff like this anymore ever. So go as far as expansion packs go, that one is probably in my top 3.
Because I know Diablo 2's initial release, there were some issues with the servers too, where they anticipated 10% of what they got. They didn't expect that number of sales, and so their servers were hurting right away.
That's where the 90-day thing came from.
And you very quickly learn like these things don't work in a online universe. This loot dropping system, the way that these systems interact, you learn very quickly that. Once things are into place, they don't always behave the way you want them to.
I don't know if you guys ever interacted with the economy the way that I did, but I literally didn't even care about gold at the end of my playthrough, or like my playtime of it. The currency in that game was SOJs. Yeah, like Stones of Jordans were literally the actual currency when I was playing it.
Gold was, I mean, why was it even in the game?
Yeah,
honestly, at some point.
It was for repairs.
Yeah.
That was the only reason why you had that.
Yeah, and you could run out for a minute and make enough gold to repair all your stuff. So again, or for my perspective on being a little more like, I don't know, statistically
Oriented,
like synergies came in about their skills and stuff. Mm-hmm. So being more of like a statistical based person or whatever, I was like, well, like, how can I optimize these skills? Like how I leveled on this tree, and like I could tell you how much time I spent planning my character more so than actually playing it. Like, how do I optimize it so at every level I'm the best I can be? And I'm like, look, like I still do it, but I'm always like, why am I putting in the time to do it? Like, the amount of time I put in to calculate, like,
it's because you enjoy systems. You enjoy the world of Diablo, and I think what you just described is why a lot of fans felt alienated by D3 is because there weren't these things that they enjoyed doing and customizing and thinking through. We're going to enjoy another beer here from Ryan. This is from Houston, Texas. It's an Imperial Coffee Milk Stout called the Cortado. And this is by Brash Brewing. And there's a couple of skeletons on here and a guy in a hazmat suit that looks like Walter White.
I mean, that's rock enough for me.
A Dark Wanderer, perhaps. So,
heck yeah.
Cheers to Ryan, everybody.
Ryan.
Clinky, clinky.
Cheers.
That's real coffee.
I look like Tom Selleck.
You do, Brad. You are Tom
Thank
Selleck.
you.
Get your Ferrari.
Well, that is just nice.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I love that.
Excellent.
Ooh,
Honestly,
coffee.
Is that
very good so
yeah,
far.
I was going to say that's the winner, yeah?
So far, I'm partial to like stouts, coffee flavor, and everything.
Yep.
Honestly, the first one had very good notes. The second one was a very good standard IPA, and this is a little
tasty.
bitter, but
Yeah.
honestly, like the coffee and everything together is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
I like my coffee with a little bit of bite, and that's what I'm getting out of
Same.
this.
Like a black.
Yeah. Dark as my soul.
Yeah,
I love God.
I like my coffee
I love
like
God.
my heart, black and nasty.
The two new classes being the Druid and the Assassin. The Druid is a werewolf bear guy.
Yeah.
Whoa,
And he can summon creatures like ravens and wolves.
Somebody just got offended.
Yeah.
werewolf. You can't call a werewolf a bear.
Well, no, he can turn to werewolves or bears. He's either a werewolf or a werebear.
Thank you.
It's
Werewolf or werebear, not were something.
When I looked online, it just said bear and werewolf. It didn't specify werebear.
Lycanthropy is not a joke. It is a serious condition. You should
It's a
know.
disease,
You should
Brad.
know.
I'm sorry. Guys, I blew it.
We're werewolves, not swearwolves, Brad.
Fuck you. And quit swearing. The Assassin was a martial arts based class that can lay traps and pick locked chests. The claws.
Charges. I think the assassin had charges.
All about the charges. Yep. Build up
then,
your
like-
charges, expend them. Very, very. Honestly, it's.
based.
I always got the rogue from World of Warcraft. Like they very clearly took a lot of inspiration from that, building up your action points, and then having like, okay, you've done 5 of your bonus actions, and now you get to expend your action to do a mega attack.
But what's that? What was first?
Diablo was for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
But I mean, they're all related again.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I just mean like Rogue took a ton of inspiration from that, and it's probably a more popular idea. I think. I don't know. I have no idea.
And that's why that was the announcement for D4 the other day. Like the Rogue is back.
Yeah. Well, and the Rogue was one of the original classes in the first game.
Agreed.
The Lord of Destruction also brought a bigger resolution to the game, 800 by 600.
Yes.
Which is a nice thing.
It was glorious.
Well needed.
I'm not a graphics guy anymore. I can go back and play the original Final Fantasy and be in that moment just as much as I was back then.
No, it's because it's stressful because that game's tough as shit.
It's true, and the music is
A little bit of masochism.
Yeah. Oh man, those early games. If you don't have a guide, it's like we're gonna fucking kill you. So we have Diablo 2. Now, are you guys? You played through probably the story mode once. After that, do you mostly do online multiplayer?
So the Diablo has a very interesting structure where you play through normal, and then you can play Nightmare, which you can play through that same like series of bosses, events, everything like that.
Yeah,
and then
higher
there's
difficulty.
with higher levels, higher XP rewards, better gear, and then you get to Hell, and you can do that as well.
And then the bastards finally got to put in permadeath with it, which they wanted in the first game, but they were told no.
I would have loved that, honestly.
Permadeath is a fun concept.
Actually, no. As 6-year-old me would not have appreciated
What
that.
do they call it?
Never mind.
Hardcore mode?
Yeah. Meat grinder.
Were you playing a lot of multiplayer, or did you just kind of stick to the single player style?
I stuck to single player and just tried to kind of grind as much as I could, and you just get through the levels. It's fun. Like I said, the gameplay loop, it makes it so replayable. And there's so many classes that you just do the same thing through all the classes.
The like story arc is not the biggest draw.
It's not great.
Like,
It's not great.
I think it's super linear. Like most of
Yes.
these games, I think the procedural generation is super fantastic as compared to like a modern game that has the same thing as like Borderlands. Like your items are mostly randomized, your environment is super randomized, and you follow the wall.
It shares much more DNA with something like that. I mean, they call this still an RPG because of the customizability with your characters, but you compare this to a Final Fantasy X or 13, which is really just a very colorful cutscene hallway.
10 and 13 especially are big sinners on that. I can't talk because some of my favorite RPGs are like Dragon Age, which less colorful hallway that you just follow with a couple of sort of open areas.
So
The illusion of sandbox.
Yes.
would you guys say that the biggest draw to keep playing Diablo 2 is the quest for better loot?
It is definitely the I can make myself do just a little bit more damage. I can do a little bit more. I can get another one of these items or another one of these runes. I could and then you get to start to play with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's fun because like my Trapezon had like 4 sets of gear that I had a macro programmed into my computer where I pressed 4 on my numpad and all of a sudden I was in my lightning trap gear. Or I press 1 and I'm in my poison trap gear. Like it just weird stuff like that where it was like, oh, well, like this situation calls for this. Boom. All right, now I'm a almost completely different character, still spec'd in a certain way that is functional to do this thing. Which
Is there a certain like end game point you guys are like, if I could just get to this, then I'd be happy, or
No.
Or is it just
No.
every time you come home, you're like, I just fucking want to get in there?
yeah.
So I think Diablo 2 you never really reach
Diablo,
the end.
yeah, no, there's not.
Like the which is great and also frustrating. Like equally frustrating as it is like kind of thing.
The weird part is that it was like one of the first endless games, and it had an end. Now we make games that really are endless because developers have the ability to patch in new things, and they want to milk their product.
Moo.
Oh, come on. That's not fair to the cows.
Yeah, I think for me it was the creativity. Like, what crazy thing could I do with my necromancer and try and make it work? Like, okay, I'm gonna, try and make this skill work here, and like, is that gonna work? Is that, how far will this get me? And just trying to try different things out. You had so many classes to mess with. It was just it was a gameplay loop, just going through the campaign again on different difficulties.
Yeah.
But it was that creativity for me for sure was
So much depth.
yes.
Well, get any game that encourages you to play its systems and win at it. A game that pops into my mind when I say that is Octopath recently.
Did you see the trailer for the Nintendo Direct game, Project Triangle?
Yes, please.
Shit,
Yes,
dude.
please.
Yeah, we played that one the other day a little bit. All right, sorry to get distracted.
So no.
Yeah.
Hey, I love it. I'm very excited for that. No, but Octopath, even with just its 2-job system, encouraged you to play around and mess with that just enough to get you there. And Diablo's system was way more open than that. And with those open systems, every once in a while, especially because this was pre-patch every other month, there were holes left in it. And I have always been a gamer that likes playing the game the way it's not supposed to be played and just completely breaking it.
Exploitative.
Oh, yes. It's one of the most satisfying things in the world.
Some other memories from some of our fans here. Grant Volkert mentioned the Mount Ariat fight was nearly impossible on Hell unless you got the right affixes on each of the barbs. Stone skin with extra health was impossible.
Yeah, that was not great. That was like one of those. I died a lot. It was good training for Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro. Getting used to
Eternal punishment.
Yeah.
Who's the Lord of Pain? Is that Baal?
That's the Lord of Destruction. The Lord of Pain is
Duriel?
Duriel. Yes.
Yeah,
second act.
Getting associated with Duriel when you are doing this fighting.
Yes. Yeah.
Some memories from Ryan
It might actually be his twin because
and Duriel.
Because she doesn't like to physically torture.
She likes anguish.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Anduriel, Ryan's memory that he mentioned was having to explain to my mom why I was fighting a giant naked lady to save mankind.
Oh, the slimy boobs.
The slimy boobs.
So bad.
Oh, it's so bad.
What's going on here, Ryan? I'm trying to save mankind.
Shut up, Mom.
And he also put finally slaying Diablo again, only to have another downer of an ending.
Your princess is not in another castle. She doesn't exist.
You know, if I had to, before this episode, boil down everything, like my personal experiences with Diablo, or Diablo 2 in specific, it would be the secret cow level and seeing that battle chest. I remember seeing that Diablo battle chest, like that big PC box that had 1, 2, and the expansion pack.
Yep.
And I remember like, that looks cool as shit, and it's really big.
The art on it, the flames rolling up, and it was beautiful. Sorry, I'll put my elbows down.
I liked it.
No, I would say my biggest takeaways from easily my favorite, the one that I played through, the one that I sunk hundreds of hours into. My brother and I designed a program that literally ran our character through Mephisto's dungeon. Just like from the ground up, we designed it so that we could have our characters running that dungeon while we were at school.
That's awesome, man.
It was obnoxious. I have no coding knowledge. I don't know how we pulled this off. Mm-hmm. But it worked. It was incredible. It was one of my favorite bonding moments with my dear brother.
Honestly, it makes you think like how many kids at that age got into like programming and mods, things like that because of Diablo 2.
Absolutely.
I wish.
And everything, like all of these games kind of at some point goes back to, I played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid.
Yep.
I enjoyed reading Lord of the Rings, and there were computers around, and shit happened. Very exciting that we are doing this Diablo episode. Thank you, Ryan, for suggesting it, because literally days ago, Diablo 2 Resurrected is announced.
Yes, there it is.
Yes.
Resurrected.
Resurrected.
Nate doesn't look excited.
Feelings.
Okay, so it's going to be a 4K version of the game. From my understanding, it's just like kind of an HD remaster for PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. But if it's going to be the game that they left off and they just make it look prettier, why are you against it, Nate?
I like the old graphics. I like everything about the old version. Not to mention, like, I can't remember. My friends, my Discord buddies, are recently into a version of Diablo 2 that's essentially the same as this, like, remaster, just on a
like a modded version,
smaller mod version.
What are you playing? Media and XL?
I can't remember what they called it. Like, they tried to draw me in. I don't have time. Currently. Honestly, I wish I could play video games for like 8 to 10 hours a day, but I just can't. It's
oh god. Sorry, jealousy just exploded out of my stomach for a second.
We work in the same place. Like, there's no way. But
no.
So there's a modded version. My problem is I like the old art. I like the old game. It's almost like set in your ways type thing. But at the same time, like, I don't know if they're actually, from what I've read and from what I understand, they're not making any significant changes to the game.
Well, that's what they're going to say, because that's what people want to hear.
Yes.
And then the moment it comes out, they're like,
well,
there's cosmetic purchases available, and we're going to add a new character eventually, and you have to pay $30 for it or something.
I will say this. If they treat it the same way that they treated Warcraft 3, Blizzard is going to get burned down.
Well, but wait,
sure.
like, isn't this from the same people that have been doing other, like, they did Tony Hawk's and they did, like, Crash Bandicoot? I think it's like they're bringing in a studio.
No, you are right.
If they're doing a studio that specializes in doing perfect,
like, resurrections.
HD remakes.
Hey,
but it's just a graphical remake is essentially what I've grasped from it, and
you like the original stuff, but there's enough people that haven't played it that wouldn't play it if it wasn't polished and pretty sitting in 4K on their new console.
Yep.
Including me. Because what am I going to do on my iMac? Go put on Diablo 2, which I guess they did patch it like 4 years ago to work on Macs. But
the other thing that I'm really hoping that Blizzard will do is cross-platform it. It like they did it with Diablo 3. Let me play with Brad. I'm playing on my computer. You're playing on your.
I believe it is going to have cross-platform.
Dude,
I think so.
We can crush some Diablo 2. Then.
I would 100% go back with anyone and be like, let's crush Diablo 2 again.
Like that would be a blast with the difficulty scaling. And yeah, it would be incredible. I would love to have that happen, because that was one of my favorite multiplayer gaming experiences.
Diablo 2 has received 23 patches. It is
hot damn.
Everyone fucking loves it.
Yeah.
And no one will say it is not the best. Like, everyone will. Some people say they like Diablo 3 as well. People are like, Diablo 1 was so fun, but everyone's like, Diablo 2, we acknowledge this is the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And Resurrected is, I think, coming later this year. It's coming out, so that's something to look forward to.
Coming soon.
Now, we have a little bit of time left in this episode. We're going to talk about a little game called Diablo Junior, which I have a feeling none of you were familiar with.
What is this?
So this was a working title for a single-player prequel that was going to be for the Game Boy Color and or Game Boy Advance. It was they were developing it to have 3 different cartridges a la Pokemon with a different class for each cart, which I think is very cool.
Makes sense.
That's dope.
And connectivity between them, so you'd have to like be able to trade items.
Hey, I had the 3-way connection for Game Boy, so that would have been
the link
You
cable.
had to trade
like,
all the different Pokemon you could only get on red, yellow, blue, green.
I totally had friends that I traded Pokemon with.
See this cute little like we're trading rodents game. Let's have a devil on it.
And I would have sold it as a Pokemon Blood Red.
Yeah, blood red, poison green, pus yellow, and bruise blue. Yeah. There we go.
Fucking nailed it.
Yeah, that was good.
You can actually see a video of some of the work, like the development when they were doing it. Just like really rough prototype of the game. Never happened. Diablo 3. Now, we're not going to talk about the game that came out. until the next episode. But our homies Brevik and the Schaefers worked on a Diablo 3 they started in 2001, the development. They were planning an MMORPG, and it was developed to take place in heaven as the majority, because hell was taking over heaven, which controversial art design choice. I can see why some people were worried, but also still heavy metal.
Yeah, I was going to say metal as hell. I mean,
demons in
Literally,
heaven. That is so cool.
Well, even with going to the lore or whatever, from what I grasped, the concept of the world stone, just transferring back and forth and being able to create immense, shit just goes back and forth.
Yep.
Like,
It's like whoever
never-ending
controls
hell.
it controls reality. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they were working on this game for 2 years, and there was an incident where the Big Four depart. Brevik, the Schaefers, and I guess another guy named Bill Roper, who was integral. They decided to leave from Flagship Studios to form Flagship Studios in 2003. Allegedly, they left in regards to the company being sold to Vivendi Universal Games, and they wanted to have some input on the sale and some of the details, and they felt they weren't heard. So the Big Four depart. Eventually, everything that they were working on with Diablo 3 was completely scrapped, and the game was changed. 2005, Blizzard North closes, and it's sad. I mean, these were the guys.
Dark Age of Blizzard.
The Dark Age. These guys were the ones that had the ideas, and there's a point that kind of a lot of studios go through where someone made these beautiful babies, these beautiful games, and studio interference causes everyone to say, like, we're fucking out of here, dude.
Yeah. Don't get in the way of artists.
I think one of the things is growing pains. Like, I am studying management for software design and all these things. It's like people with good ideas and coordinating software developers and things is a very hard struggle as comparatively to the people who are like, this is to make money, as to
this is my bottom line.
Yeah, as compared to like what Nick said, where the artists are creating something of beauty,
of value to them. Like, they're speaking from whatever creative process they have, and that is, as much as I believe, a part of like what a lot of people would describe a soul as. Like that, you're giving a part of yourself to this project.
Passionate art.
You're taking what was so great about what they did, and they're like, we just want to make it way more accessible. We want to make it a little more palatable, and we want to be able to charge people for it.
Yeah, no, but I need the metal.
Yeah,
and we'll get to Diablo 3 on the next episode, and just the nostalgia cash machine that I still love it, but you can see it.
It is,
and they don't really hide a lot of it.
Oh man.
So you're gonna start playing soon, huh?
So I didn't play Diablo 3, but I studied the auction house just because I'm an economy nerd and stuff like that, and I was just in the face of like, this is prime for like market manipulation and things that we've actually seen in modern society, not to mention like current events and stuff, but like, damn, like you can do this and it's very possible. And just,
it's a delicate thing to try and balance and implement.
Yeah.
They just saw dollar signs, that's all.
Yeah. We got a couple minutes. Do any of you have any closing thoughts on Diablo 2 that you would like to mention? Any fond memories?
Thank you, Blizzard, for introducing me to the world of online gaming. Also, Blizzard, how dare you introduce me to the world of online gaming? People are assholes on there.
And I can't have a social life if I'm online gaming. I know that as a console gamer. I got way too into Destiny for a while, and I didn't do anything other than play Destiny, which was great. But
no, I get it. I get it. Well, I mean, I enjoyed so much the procedurally generated idea of that game. Anytime I hear that word now described for a game,
greetings.
I'm like,
oh, not the word greetings.
If they could have gotten Deckard Cain to procedurally generate words, well, I mean, that rap happened, so obviously they did.
Yeah.
But we can get a soundboard going or something. Deckard Cain.
And if you want to talk about the lore, Deckard Cain mentions Tom Connery or Sean Connery, so that means like they're in the same universe.
Yep.
That might have been a voiceover. Somebody might have been doing that.
No, that was officially released.
Was it really?
That's the Deckard Cain voice actor.
Holy
Confirmed. Diablo is actually in the future. This is post-apocalypse.
Yeah. Patrick Stewart is real.
He's still actually alive in post-apocalypse too. That Earl Grey tea is doing him good.
Hasn't aged a fucking day. David, do you have any final thoughts on Diablo 2?
Thank you, Blizzard, for allowing us to be so creative with a game and for allowing friends who couldn't play together all the time play together and grief the shit out of each other.
Honestly, for me, it's like replayability and bonding. Similar to what these guys said, and the fact that like you can just play through that game so much and do so much. And I always remember is he a goblin? Right outside the Den of Evil, whatever that guy is.
Tweeted us.
I just remember messing that little goblin guy up, but even early in the game, he can kill you like instantly if you hit him and he sparks lightning. Yeah. I think that's fantastic, as well as like setting the precedent for modern games. It's just fantastic.
And what I want to thank you for in the early eras of Diablo is the Deckard Cain rap, because I never played the fucking games.
But that Deckard Cain rap, that's absolute fire.
It's exquisite. It is aged wonderfully.
Fire with a Y.
Oh my gosh, 10 Ys. I don't know if that's possible.
Fest.
Yeah. If they got Deckard Cain to perform at the next Fire Fest, like, could you imagine?
I would go. I know
We're
it's
on an island. Shit's pretty weak.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you want to support the podcast, look us up on Patreon. There are many tiers. Essentially, you can get stuff early. And if you want to hear the rest of our Diablo discussion, which we're going to talk about 3, what we know about 4, as well as the Dark Souls spinoff they were working on. And then we're also going to talk about the entire lore. We'll do that on the next episode. You'll have access to it right away. If you want to support us on Patreon for as low as $3, we'll give it to you. Otherwise, it'll be available whenever we're too hungover as a group to get together one day, and I need to release something. But yeah, that's coming for Patreon supporters right away. And if you want to choose a topic like Ryan did, support us at the $10 range, and you can tell us what games you want us to talk about, because I was convinced to buy 2 books, and honestly very impressed with the lore, which isn't what anyone remembers, because it's kind of a lot of it's in the background. But
yes, yeah.
Yep. Go to Patreon, and then if you want to reach out to mention anything about these games or anything at all, questions, hairthedogcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram at hairthedogcast and Twitter at hotdogcast. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any problems, you can stick it in your stash. We'll probably play a little more of that rap, because
please.
It is our new obsession.
Yeah.
And for Patreon supporters, we will be releasing something right away for you for Diablo 3, 4, with a couple semicolons, what could have been 4, as well as we're talking about Anu and Taphomet and Odyssean and Jerry Harrish. So
it's about to get deep.
It's about to get deep. Plus, we're not taking a break from drinking, so it's about to get deep and drunk. So we will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you.
Moo.